So I'll get started and I'll just talk about a little bit about who we are, what the Energy Institute does, and then also additionally the benefits of membership with the Energy Institute. And then we'll move into a bit of detail about how to apply, what best practice looks like in an application form, the application process itself, and then the standards you'll need to meet depending on what qualification you're interested in. And then I'm hoping that will take about hopefully we'll get through that in just under 40 minutes, and that will leave us 15-20 minutes at the end for questions if you have any afterwards. But yeah, let's get started with the history of the Energy Institute, what we are, what we do, and why we exist. Um, so our strapline is to create a better energy future for our members' society by accelerating a just global energy transition to net zero. Now, obviously, that has quite a that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, depending on your situation and where you are in the world. For some people, it's better access to energy. For some, it's cheaper access to energy, and across the board, it's also a lower carbon access to energy. So this is sort of in response to what we call the Energy Institute, and is sort of also used widely around the world as the triple crisis, the sort of issues with security of supply in energy, consumers feeling sort of the supply, the price pressure, and then also concerns and issues about climate change and the potential issues that that will is likely to cause. Our response as the Energy Institute is to improve efficiency along the lines of the lowest carbon energy you use is the energy you don't use. Improving the deployment of low carbon technologies such as wind and solar, but additionally decarbonising existing oil and gas, making it so that the oil and gas we do use is as low carbon as possible. Um, and we do that um, and we do that in a number of ways by attracting, developing, and equipping the diverse future energy workforce, which is most of you on the call today, hopefully, and informing energy decision making through convening expertise and advice, and additionally enabling industry and consumers to make energy lower carbon, safer, and more efficient. So, on the first point, attracting, developing, and equipping the diverse energy future workforce. Um, those on the call today and in the wider world, how are we doing this? We have a number of, obviously, the main focus of today is professional membership and developing your CPD and developing yourself. Um, is recognition of that through our awards. We have EI again. I'll go into a bit more detail about these member because a lot of these fall under member benefits, but also our accredited courses that we do with universities. We do a lot of work with Powerful Women and Generation 2050, which is looking at increasing diversity within energy and also looking at the next generation of energy professionals and future leaders. And we have a large training platform in the form of EI Academy, which is giving energy professionals the skills they need to thrive in the energy community. The second area of our triple role is informing energy decision making through convening expertise and advice. So this is largely around knowledge, improving knowledge, and distributing knowledge to energy professionals around the world. We have New Energy World magazine that we put out weekly, which I know most of you signed up are already AMEIs, so you should likely be receiving this, and if you're not, do feel free to reach out. We have our energy barometer, which is aligned with which allows professionals to provide us their thoughts and their theories and their concerns about energy, and we can sort of feed it back by putting together what energy professionals' views of the energy industry is and distribute it around so everyone sort of can see what the industry view is on a lot of areas. We have a number of events, including our International Energy Week, which again is I'll cover it in a second. But we have a number of other events, including a number of webinars and opportunities for people to get involved on a sort of global scale with all of our activities. We have an e-library which is available either a number of documents available for free, or at a reduced price for members. Additionally, we do fundamentals training courses to improve the understanding of energy within decision makers in the UK. And we also, along this, we have recently taken over stewardship of the Statistical Review of World Energy. We published the first edition we published was last year, and we've grown on that and published our second edition this year. That's um, a body of work that is free for all to use. Members, non-members, it's available as a sort of charitable output, enabling everyone to have a really good understanding of what's happening in the world of energy, and they can see how energy works country by country. And the third sort of string to our bow is enabling industry and consumers to make energy lower carbon, more efficient. So we do that. One of the ways we do that is, well, most of that is through collaborating with companies. We have our company membership and our technical partners, and the technical program is sort of focused on increasing, encouraging industry to work to best practice. And we have a number of committees that I'll sort of touch on in a second. Additionally, we have which increases our engagement of industry and allows us to work more hand in hand. I mentioned earlier International Energy Week, which this year or next year now will be 25th to the 27th of February. And that will be at the QE2 Centre in Westminster. And it's an opportunity for energy professionals to come together and discuss all the issues that are facing the energy industry today and look at developing for the future. So our technical program at a glance, this is our how we interact with industry and support industry to be the best that they can be. It's sort of divided into three strands: the energy transition, health and safety, and then also fuel quality and management. Health and safety is an area that we're sort of very, very proud of the work we've done. And one of the key works of this is our Learning Through Incidents training, which is our Toolbox app. And this is a free app, so if you don't have it, please do download it or encourage your colleagues to do. And it's an opportunity to sort of learn about the issues and dangers of working in energy by following examples and incidents that have happened, so that you can better protect yourself and your peers when working in energy. But all of this is on a global scale. We have a global community with over 20,000 individual members, 200 companies, and we have members from over 120 countries. And it's an ambition of ours to sort of grow our footprint across the world globally, and obviously increase our membership in all countries around the world. I think we've got quite an international attendance today, which is fantastic. So hopefully you see that in the output from the Energy Institute, that we are sort of very much a global looking organization and hope to expand that area. We work with a number of, this is just a sample of some of the companies we work with. We've got over 200 companies that we work with and regularly get involved in collaborating with the Energy Institute on various items and involvements. And we also work with sort of non-government, non-companies, non-profits and charities and so on, include to sort of improve the energy industry and people's access to it. So that's a bit about us. That's a bit about our sort of wider activities. And if you have any questions about some of that in a bit more detail, feel free to ask me in the chat or reach out by email after the meeting. But I'll just sort of move on to what the benefits are of membership. I think everyone registered today is already a member, so hopefully you'll know about a decent chunk of these. But if you don't, here's an opportunity to sort of learn a bit more and take full advantage of your membership. So the main one is the opportunity to gain professional recognition and take on the sort of chartered titles. There's discounted rates on our training courses. We have our EI Connect platforms. This is our mentoring platform that allows you to be put in touch with one of your peers. and they'll be able to sort of mentor you through your career, but additionally your sort of process to becoming a professional member and becoming chartered. Um, and they can be someone who is nothing to do with your company, nothing to do with your country. They can be a sort of global person who can sort of sit back and look at it through your shoes, but also through someone else's shoes. But they might have, but you will obviously want someone who's got the qualifications that you're looking to achieve, so they can sort of provide you with a sort of understanding of the route they took, what worked, what didn't work, and will be able to um, yes, we'll be able to support you on that journey. Yes, just answering that quick question. I'll be sending the slides out to everyone who's registered after the meeting. So yes, don't feel you need to take notes. I will be sending those out. Sorry, where was I? EO Connect. Yep. So this is an opportunity to get in touch with a mentor. So please do take advantage of that. And it's someone who could be outside the company, so you can ask some questions sort of more objectively without worrying about there might be questions you might not feel comfortable asking your boss, for example, and this would be someone you could ask. There's access to My Career Path, and this is a mapping tool that you can map your skills onto standards that you're looking to achieve. And it's a little app that you can download on your phone or use online. And this is all complimentary as part of your membership, so do use it. It might not be right for you, you might not like it, but do have a go of it because it's there and it's available and it's part of your membership. Additionally, you have access to our knowledge service and our e-library. There's a number of free documents on there, but there are some as well that you'll have to pay for. But again, this is all at a discount. And these are all good membership benefits. As I mentioned, there's a weekly magazine, New Energy World. So this gives you a bit of context on the wider energy industry. Obviously, you'll all be looking to be experts in your area, and New Energy World is not going to make you more of an expert in your area, but it will give you a lot more context to how you fit into the wider energy industry, what's some of the new technology coming around, what's some of the policy views from around the world, and New Energy World can help you sort of build up a wider context to the work you do. And then you get discounted rates to technical publications. If you are from a technical member, you will already have access to these for free, depending on which company you work for. But that's all done through your email. So if you are from one of our technical members, you'll already have access to these documents. So I would advise using them if that's relevant for you. You've got discounted rates on our events, and we have local, national, and international events. And we have a number of our events are also online, like today. So you can access these from around the world from the comfort of your office or your living room. So there's both in person for those, so you can have the conversations on the side, and additionally there's the ones online so that you can get to them wherever you are in the world. We have a number of branches, both local branches, and then we also have our YPN branches for our young professionals. These are growing, and we're looking for people to get involved with their branches. So if you're not involved with your branch, please do reach out to them. Details can be found on our website, but if you have any questions, do feel free to drop me an email. We have our social media groups. You can get involved on our LinkedIn and our Twitter to sort of see what's going on in energy and sort of interact a little bit if you want. We also have EI Connect, which was launched in the last few months, and there's an opportunity to it's an online forum where you can get involved with the activities and discuss items on EI Connect. Additionally, you have the opportunity to get involved with our surveys and our research initiatives, which will give you sort of more background as to what's going on in energy, and also give your feedback on energy. As I mentioned, these are our knowledge and publishing websites, which you'll have access to as a member. But in summary, these are the sort of the key tenets of being a member. You can bolster your credentials, you can get connected, you can access support for your career, and also for your sort of personal mental health. I haven't mentioned it, but we also have EI Assist. This is a free app, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, If you're struggling with something and you want to sort of talk to someone outside your immediate circle, this is a confidential app that you have access to as a member. So please do feel do feel do use it if you feel the need. Hopefully you never will, but it is there if you need it. It's an opportunity to be in the know again, and it's an opportunity to contribute back to your industry that hopefully has given you quite a lot, and it gives you a wider perspective on what's going on within energy. So that's benefits of membership. What are the overall benefits of professional recognition? So it's a mark of your commitment and your professionalism. It's showing that you are pursuing best practice in energy and best practice in your career. It gives employers the it shows employers that you have competence in the areas you've got. In fact, it's not just competence, it's expertise, and it's the opportunity to show that you have the work ethic required. You've gone out and you've got this standard by yourself. It's not something that the company's done for you. They've not put you through training. This is something that you've done off your own back. And it's a fantastic sort of mark of your skills, your abilities, and your commitment to being better than you were last week, last year, yesterday. And it's an opportunity to stand out in a competitive industry. You have made it's a mark of commitment and professionalism, which is very clear. Additionally, it's an external validation. If you're just moving through day to day, you might not sort of as you're improving day by day, you might not see your improvement yourself. You might not see yourself developing, but it's an opportunity for you to sort of get this professional recognition and say, no, I am improving, I am developing because I've achieved these standards. It's an opportunity for yourself to almost reward yourself for your hard work. And it is internationally recognized. So if you are looking at moving around either internally within your company or possibly to a new company, this will give you this will help you on that journey, whether it's well, it will help you on that journey internationally. So it's very useful for your career in that sense as well. So what are the membership grades? So you've got the student grade. Most people here are an associate, and this is very much geared towards professional membership. So you're in the right place, and it will help you on that journey to professional recognition. Obviously, it can't do it all for you, but it will give you a lot of the tools you'll need, and hopefully help you give you access to a lot of the knowledge to then go on to becoming a professional member. We also have an affiliate member, which is more for people who are interested in energy but are not perhaps looking to become professionally qualified. I would always suggest that the associate member is the best one for because you might not think you're ready, or you might not think it's something you want to do, but it will give you a better idea, and you can always it's always the option to then move on and become and move up to our professional grades, which are fellow member and technician member. So fellow is the highest grade that we have, and is for leaders and influencers in energy, and is a fantastic grade to aim for in your career. It might be though that you need to become a member or a technician member first on that journey to becoming a fellow. Member is our professional tends to be our most popular member grade, and is what you would apply for when you're also looking at applying for chartership. And again, it's a real sort of mark of your commitment and your ability within the Energy Institute. So on that to that level, this would be the sort of the route you'd be looking at going down. Now, don't worry, you don't have to go back to being a student member. You can jump in at associate member before then moving on to a professional or incorporated chartered member. So these are our grades, our professional grades, and the titles that we're licensed to award. So we've got obviously our three professional membership grades on the left there: fellow member and technician member. And then the registered titles that we can award, which are chartered engineer, incorporated engineer, and engineering technician. So those are all licensed by the Engineering Council. And then we're also licensed by the Society for the Environment to award the chartered environmentalist. Additionally, we have our own unique titles, which you can only get from the Energy Institute, which are chartered energy engineer, chartered petroleum engineer, and chartered energy manager. Now, a number of those licensed titles you can get with other professional bodies. and it's not definite that the Energy Institute will be the right professional body for you. But if you're looking at an energy or an industry specific qualification, then it's likely that we will be. But I would say that it's very worth doing even if you don't do it with us. So do have a think about what's going to be right for you personally. Hopefully it'll be the Energy Institute, but profession always look the professional membership is or professional recognition and getting a registered title is definitely the right thing to do. Whether it's with us, you'll have to have a look and work out for yourself. But hopefully it will be because we are obviously the Energy Industries Institute. So once you've decided what you're looking to go down, you then look at the application process. So you'll download the application pack from our website. I would keep in mind that if you think the application might be a long way off, there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, sorry, let me just answer this question. Okay, thank you for that. What I'll do is I'll pick this up at the end, that question, and I'll follow up internally and I'll come back to you. Yeah, I'll pick that up at the end. Thank you. Right, sorry, moving back to the how to apply professional membership. So you download the application pack, read the guidance notes. Yeah, sorry, just circling back to thank you for your question about I'm an AMEI looking to become a chartered environmentalist. Do you have to be an MEI first? Can I apply for MEI and chartered at the same time? Yeah, so you'd be applying for both standards at the same time. You can apply. So if you want to be a chartered environmentalist, you'd download that application pack and also the MEI pack and complete them at the same time. Thank you. So the process for applying, so you download the application pack. Do keep in mind that the application packs update a little bit from time to time. So if you're a few years away from sort of submitting your application, by all means download it now, but just nearer the time, you might want to just download the newest one and copy your answers across onto the new application pack. Once you've downloaded the application pack, read the guidance notes. The guidance notes are very robust, and they will give you sort of the majority of what they should give you everything you need. But if you do have any additional questions, obviously do feel free to reach out. But the guidance notes are very robust, so do go through them. They should have all the answers that you need. You complete both part A and B. Then you proofread it, complete your sponsors checks, and then send it in to professionals at Energy Institute. It's very important that you do the proofread. Part of the standards that the examiners are looking for is that it's well written with very few errors. So proofreading is quite an easy win on that front. And then yeah, once you've done that, work with your sponsors. If you don't have a sponsor, EI Connect can be a great tool for that. You can use that to reach out to people who will be able to sponsor you and support you through this application. Do bear in mind that they need to have the standards that you're applying for. So if you're applying for a chartered engineer, you will need a chartered engineer to support your application. And that's just a sort of overview. I'll go into a little bit more detail about sections of it as we go. So part A is an application form, your sponsor's references, your professional development review. It's not a CV, it is a separate document, and there's guidance around that on the notes and examples of what the document should look like. Your CPD record, again, this is not a CV, it's examples of your continual professional development. An organizational chart, again, so this is a summary of where you sit within the company. Obviously, I appreciate you're not gonna sort of provide the entire company, but it needs to be a little bit more than just your line manager and your direct reports. It needs to sort of give a rough idea of where you sit in the company, so what department you're in, and then also where you sit within that department. Again, examples of that can be found in the guidance notes, and then copies of academic certificates and photo ID, as well as the application fee. And then there's the competence grid. So this is where when you're applying for multiple aspects of it, you'd complete a competence grid for each area. So if you're applying for an MEI, you complete a competence grid for an MEI as well as a chartered engineer. Sorry, question here. Hi, Patrick. Is the application process same for professional membership and to achieve CE-Eng status with the Engineering Council? No, so the process is rolled together, so you complete it at the same time. And then the MEI is obviously held with is held with us, and then the CEng we also hold, but we would register you with the Engineering Council as part of the application process, or once the application is complete. Another question is, does the EI cover utility and engineering and energy infrastructure, as there is a gap in the sector between civil engineering and the energy, and many professionals, myself included, sit in this area, don't have a recognised body? Yeah, so again, it will be yes, is the answer. We do cover the utility energy infrastructure. The chartered energy manager is probably the route that you'd be looking at, just based on your question. But do read through the sort of documents, and it'll give you a better idea of what would be ideal for you. But yes, it sounds like you'd be looking at a CEng application for a chartered energy manager. But yes, that's something that would be relevant within energy. Would be I would imagine we'd be the right institute for that. Another question about the sponsors. Yeah, they can come. You can be from another organisation so long as they've got a CEng. So if they had a CEng with IMechE, they could be a sponsor for an Energy Institute application. Okay, I'll just move us on and then I'll pick up some more questions at the end. So when you're completing your competence grid, and I'll show you a couple of examples in a second, have these 5 ideas at the sort of front of your mind, or write them down on a bit of paper, or just have them to hand, because every competence you're demonstrating, you should be looking to have these 5 ideas in mind. So it's knowledge and understanding, how you've applied it to the examples you're giving, how you've demonstrated leadership and management, your communication and interpersonal skills, and then also your commitment to professional standards. So commitment can be a sort of sustained commitment to your professional standard. So this is a very quick example of an MEI competence grid, and some of the questions you might be asked. And on this grid, the guidance notes will tell you how many words they're looking for, but do try and stay within the word count. Examiners I want to give you what they will want to give you marks, so make it really easy for them. Make your points clear and concise. Don't go on and on, because they'll have to read it. They probably won't get annoyed, but they want to give you marks, and if your answers are clear and concise, they'll be more than happy to give them to you. If they have to sort of pull it out and look carefully within the application, it might be that they miss things, or that they don't think it's concise enough. In terms of what the word count is, I would use a sort of 10% rule. If the word count says 200, 180 will be fine, 220 will be fine. But if you're looking at 1,000 words for a 200 word count, that's going to hurt your application. So try and stay within 10% of the recommended word count. If you are desperate to go over, don't make it routine, but just do it for the odd one. That also won't be the end of the world by any means. But do keep those sort of 5 ideas in the front of your mind when you're looking at demonstrating your knowledge. This is a CEng competence grid, and again, I don't expect you'll be able to read that, but the application packs are available to download on the website. So do feel free to do that and get and go through them. Like I said, I would recommend downloading it straight away, because you can look at where you might be deficient in gaps, or you might be surprised. You might think, oh, actually, no, I'm ready to go. But it's important to start mapping your skills straight away, because you can then plan and say, right, I'll be ready in a year's time, but I need to do this, this, and this to get there. If you just sort of go, oh, I'll be ready in a year's time without mapping your skills, you might miss something that you could have easily done in that time frame, and then that pushes the start of your application back a little bit. So I would recommend downloading this today if you haven't already done so, and just having a quick glance through, write a couple of bullet points on each section that you think you've done that would work. And also additionally, I'd just go back and I'll just mention that your examples don't have to be in energy. It would be better that they are, and it will be a stronger application if they are. But if you're struggling for a competence or something, and you have examples outside of energy, like in your personal life or in a career before energy, you can use those. And I would look at how you've then applied that working knowledge into energy. Obviously, demonstrating energy skills, you'll have to use energy skills. But if it's something like leadership, you can look to apply that from outside energy. If you're struggling to find an example. So don't feel that you're completely stuck. You can, if you think that it's demonstrates the skill, if you can show that it demonstrates the skill that you're looking at showing examiners, then feel free to use that one. It doesn't have to be purely energy. But yeah, in summary, for the sort of do's and don'ts, first person, you're talking about you. Don't talk about the team that you're in. You are applying, it's not your team applying. So talk about how you were crucial to the success of a project. Talk about how you were important in managing a process, because it's you applying. It's a little bit uncomfortable, I appreciate, to sort of say I was really good at this and I was really good at that, but you do need to focus on what you have done for this. Go into detail. You can use plenty of detail. The examiners will already have these qualifications and will likely pick out examiners who work in a similar area to yourself. So they will have a good working knowledge, so you can get a little bit. You can go into some detail. That being said, if you're working on something that's commercially sort of sensitive, you don't need to give that information away. Just give a sort of rough understanding of how you've worked. No one's expecting you to give away industry secrets. And try and use a wide variety of examples. Relying on the same example again is not going to strengthen your application, because a lot of what they're looking for is a sort of variance of skills, variance of understanding, and a variance of projects. So do try and use multiple different examples. That being said, if you have to use the same one again, it's not the end of the world. You can use it a few times if you need to, but do try and use multiple examples where possible. And again, you can include supplementary information if you think it's relevant, but I wouldn't worry too much about that. It's mostly about answering the competence grids to the best of your ability. Of course, proofreading, it's part of your demonstrating communication skills. You need to be having clear, well thought out sections in your PDR, in your competence grids. So do proofread it. Don't submit a CV. It is a PDR. There's a sort of template of what you should be looking to do. So do follow the example of that. A CV is going to hurt your application, whereas a PDR will obviously very much strengthen it. Don't plagiarize. Obviously, that goes without saying. Don't copy. Do complete everything in the grid. If you've got gaps in the grid, it might be that you're not yet ready to apply. So if you've got gaps, you might need to sort of think about your timeline for application, but don't leave any gaps, basically. And again, don't go over or under the word count. It depends on it depends on the competence grid. Some are 200, some are 500, some are 1,000. It will say in the guidance notes what you should be saying, but again, stick to that sort of rough 10% rule on the competence grid, because like I said, the examiners are not going to be thrilled if you've gone massively over it, and if you're massively under it, you might not be providing enough evidence, and that might not support your application. So the assessment process is, once you've completed it, completed all your sections, got all your sponsors checks done, provided all the documents requested, you then send it into the EI professional team, where it will be reviewed by the professional team, and they're just reviewing it to make sure that everything's there, there's nothing missing at this stage, before they then send it on to the panel. So they'll be judged by judges who have some of the qualifications you're applying for. and they'll just be checking the application before then proceeding to interview. Again, this process, I appreciate this process can be a little bit frustrating. It can take time to for it to be assessed. We rely on volunteers, which is a bit of a which makes it a little bit tricky because obviously they've got to balance it around their own work commitments. But it does mean we can get it assessed by people who are incredibly qualified and will be able to have a much better understanding than if it was assessed by professionally paid members of the Energy Institute. But it does mean that the application process can take a little bit longer. Additionally, if the application process is missing documents or the professional office has to ask for documents or areas are incomplete, that will slow up the process. But it can move quite quickly. I appreciate that's not always the universal view, and unfortunately, sometimes it does take a little bit longer. But if you do everything right on your end, it should go through reasonably quickly. Once it's been assessed, you'll then be invited to an interview. Again, it's an interview sounds very formal, and obviously they'll be asking questions about yourself and looking to understand who you are and what you've done and the work you've done. But it is reasonably informal, and they will just be discussing, looking to get a little bit more information about yourself. When you attend the interview, do bear in mind that they'll be talking about your application. So make sure you're fully up to speed with what you said, what you did in the application. It does sometimes happen. There's a little bit of a gap between you sending your application in and going to interview. So make sure you're familiar with it. Some of the feedback we've had from interviewers is they're not particularly impressed by people who have to keep referring back to their application. So do make sure you know what you're talking about on the application. Otherwise, it's not gonna reflect particularly well. Additionally, if you worked on a project, completed a project in the time between sending in your application form, and the interview, feel free to mention that if it supports one of the skills you're looking to demonstrate. It's not a case of you can only talk about what's in the application form. If you have other areas that you've talked about, please do keep that in mind. And at the moment, we're doing all the interviews virtually. For the foreseeable, we'll always be offering virtual interviews. I don't think we'll be moving to in-person interviews in the foreseeable future, but that does mean that they can be conducted by interviewers around the world, so we can find someone who is best suited to ask you about your questions, and additionally, hopefully offer you far more interview slots. So that's a summary of the process. Again, if you have any questions, I'll get through the rest of the presentation and then we'll go through the questions at the end. But do feel free to ask them now, and I'll refer back to them. So when you're looking at our professional titles, we have a number of requirements for our professional titles and a number of routes to them. So I'll just touch on it briefly. We have our first fast track route. So this is if you hold if you're already a chartered engineer, incorporated engineer, or chartered environmentalist, and you want to transfer that across from another professional body and additionally apply for MEI, you can do that through our professional residence fast track route. Again, details of that can be found on our website, but it's much quicker than applying for an MEI in its own right. So I briefly mentioned our fellow. Again, this is something that you might look to apply for. It might be that you're ready to apply for a fellow now. It's probably more likely that MEI would be the route to go down initially, and then you might well be looking to become a fellow in time. And again, this is for those who have made a sort of distinctive and sustained and significant contribution to energy. Again, it's a great aspiration to have, and it might be, and I'm sure there's some among you who are already there, but the majority and the rest of you will get there at some point. So do think about that and have that in mind as something to look to. When you're looking to apply for our engineering titles, so this is CEng, iEng, and EngTech, do keep in mind that you'll need to have you'll need to meet an educational standard. It's not the end of the world if you don't. There's another route to that if you don't. But these all need to be accredited courses. Now, if they're um, the courses themselves should say, if you're not sure if your course is accredited, just email the details of your course to the professionals office, and they can check for you. And it'd be if you're not sure about this, it would be worth checking before you start the application process, because it's not to say you can't apply, but you would need to go through interim in the meantime, and I'll just touch on that in a second. And these courses can be they're international. There's international courses. They're recognised by what's called the Washington Accords. But do just email the details of your course to the office if you're not sure, and they'll be able to give you the sort of answer and tell you what the best route is for yourself. If your course is not accredited, which is possible, you might have to go through the interim registration route. This is just a route to show that you've got the knowledge requirement in line with the accredited courses. Unfortunately, the courses can sometimes not be accredited for a few years, and we do have to just go through this process just to make sure. It can be quite a quick process, and we're looking at ways to speed this up. But if you need to go down the interim process, it is available. It's not the end of the world if you haven't got an accredited course. We can do that. Yeah. If you're looking for our engineering titles, so you need to meet the educational standard, as I mentioned, having the accredited degree and master's courses. You have to demonstrate you have to have your relevant practical experience, and you need to demonstrate that in your application. You'll need to abide by the code of conduct, which you can find on the EI website, and you need to commit to maintaining your CPD. It's important that you don't think of the standard as something that you meet and that's it. You essentially earn it every day by continuing to work on your CPD. Additionally, you'll need to join as a professional member, and then you'll also look to apply for either a chartered energy engineer or chartered petroleum engineer, depending on which title you're looking at applying for. If you're looking to be a chartered environmentalist, again, it's relevant to master's degree or equivalent. Have the practical experience, again, you'll be demonstrating this in the application form, and then it's abiding by the EI Code of Conduct and the Society for the Environment Code of Conduct. And again, this is not a standard that you meet once and that's it. This is something that you continue to maintain once you move forward. And then finally, our Chartered Energy Manager, again, relevant practical experience, demonstrate it, abide by the Code of Conduct, and commit to maintaining your CPD. And additionally, you'll be joining as a professional member. We do have a number of training courses which can support this, which are done by the EI Academy. So what do you do from here? What's the next step in the process? It's join as a member, which hopefully you all are. You get involved with the EI activities, so it's whether that's training, events, so on and so forth. And you download an application pack, get your application pack started, start your mapping processes so you can see where you might be deficient. And again, you might be pleasantly surprised. You might sort of think, oh no, I am ready. In which case, brilliant, get on with it. And if you're not ready, that's fine as well. You can start looking at what you need to do over the next coming year, 2 years, 5 years, to be ready. One of the things that we're sometimes asked is how long till you're ready? Well, it depends on how the quality of that time. So it might be that you've only been in industry 5 years and you're ready, or it might be that 30 years and you're not quite ready. It's the quality of the time you spent in energy and what you've been doing in it. So there is no definitive sort of time frame for how long you should have worked in energy before you're ready for this. It's just if you meet the standards. Again, going back to sort of mapping out where you do your gap analysis and get started, you can do a very, very quick download the application form and just write a couple of sentences in each box to start the process and see where you are and where you're lacking. You can start this process very quickly and work it out. Obviously, once you start going into a detail, it will take a bit longer. But again, it's something that's best done over a period of time, sort of regularly. And then help is at hand. So if you don't have a sponsor, get one from EI Connect. Discuss with them the process, discuss what to do, and read the guidance notes within the application form. They're pretty complete. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to either email the professionals team or you can email me. Hopefully you've all got my email, but it's here if you have any questions. Right, so I will now go on to questions. I know there's been a few in the chat, so I'll try and get through these. Hopefully, I've answered some of them, but I'll go through them now. Yes, so one of your sponsors, I believe, should be your line manager. I will double check that. If they're not got a CEng, that's okay, as long as one of your sponsors has the CEng, if that's what you're looking to apply for. So they don't have to be your line manager. As long as one of your sponsors is a CEng. But yes, a line manager's sponsorship is a good one where possible. Within the competency grid where it says 200 words, is that per section A, B, or C, or per subsection? Again, it will be per section, and it won't be necessarily 200 words. It might be 500, it might be 1,000. It depends on the notes. But yeah, I wouldn't get. Don't worry too much. Again, like I said, if you're sort of 220, 240, that's not going to be in the world, or 550, 600 is not the end of the world. But it will say on the guidance notes. How do I get sponsors if my line manager, my role is not in energy as such, but I am involved with other energy initiatives within the organization that I work for? Would this count against my application, as most of my energy management experience has been as a result of my voluntary work within my organization? No, it's not going to count against. It's good if it's good energy work. It's good energy work, whether you're paid for it or it's just within the organization. That's not going to hurt your application. If you're struggling for a sponsor, do look at EI Connect. There'll be people who can sponsor you, and there'll be people who can speak to your abilities. But if you do have any further questions off that, do feel free to reach out. But from what it sounds like, it shouldn't hurt your application at all. You'll when you download if you haven't already, if you download the application pack, you should be able to fill out if you can fill out the areas, you should be good enough. Can you use similar answers for similar questions across MEI and the Chartered Environmentalist applications? Yeah, you can. If you need to repeat yourself in different applications, that's fine. Try and avoid it where possible, but yes, I understand that there is a limit of your experience, and if you need to use the same thing again, that's okay. What recommended level of experience do you need to apply for chartership and/or MEI? Again, it depends on the quality of your experience, really. If you do that gap analysis, if you map out where your skills work on the application form, then it'll give you a pretty good idea whether you've got enough experience or not. But yeah, unfortunately, there's not a hard and fast rule on how long you need to have worked in energy. It's just if you've in your time in energy, you've got the skills whilst you've been there. Is the interview focused on MEI or chartership? It's both. So they'll discuss both areas with you. So you can use examples. They can, if you're talking about one area, you can sort of to say, and obviously this supports the MEI and the Chartered Environmentalist. You'll be discussing both. So does commit to maintaining CPD allow for future improvements in CPD track record? If I have a limited CPD history over 12 years of work experience, will this be an issue for my current CEng application? It's hard to know without really looking at it. Yes, when you apply, they'll obviously only be looking at your historic CPD. So do think about your CPD. It might be that you need to just have a rethink of what exactly was CPD. And if you do feel that it's a little bit light, you might have to just hold off your application initially and build it up over the coming year or 2 years before you then apply. But it's really about demonstrating that you have been growing in your role. So whether that's attending talks, webinars, training, put it all down because it can be useful. And even stuff like on the job learning can be used if you sort of frame it correctly and talk about how you've then grown through applying that. What membership covers? Sorry, Chloe, I'm not sure what you mean by your question on what membership covers BER assessors, self-employed. Please do keep any questions coming in if you have any more. Okay, so number one, are there any examples of best practice for what needs to be filled out into the competence grid? Yeah, so there's in the guidance notes, there's a little bit of an example um, of what you're looking to achieve. Um, so again, it's answering the questions obviously, and then having those five sort of ideas in the front of your mind when you're completing it. Um, but there are examples on the guidance notes, yeah. The word count, it's on it will say in the guidance notes whether it's, I think it's each section off the top of my head, but it does say on the guidance notes um, rather than each. I think it's each subsection, so it's each question essentially. But it will say in the guidance notes what the word sort of count is. Uh, I have a CEng peer working with me. Can he become my sponsor, though he has just been accredited for a CEng last year? Yeah, if they're a CEng, they're a CEng. So yes, someone who's been a CEng for 10 minutes or someone who's been a CEng for 10 years can support your application. And they will obviously, in fact, someone who's done it recently might well be more useful because it'll be at the front of their mind what they did and how it worked. But again, someone who's done it for 10 years will also be very useful because they'll have built up experience since. But yes, if they're a CEng, they can support your CEng application, absolutely. Does ESOS lead assessor status come with chartership? No, it's a separate application process, the ESOS lead assessor. I am a process safety engineer servicing the oil and gas industry. Is this considered energy engineering experience? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, energy is yeah, it definitely sounds like it. And again, if you have a look at the application process, you'll be I'm sure you'll be more than able to sort of complete the majority of the sections, if not all of them. But yes, that sounds very much energy experience. Aside from being a member, is there another payment for professional membership? So there's the membership payment, and then additionally there's the licensing payment for if you're looking to apply for CEng, your engineering. There's a payment for CEng. I believe that's it, but yeah, I think there's details on our website. But if you drop me an email, I can check and give you the exact details on if you drop me an email of what you're looking to apply for, I can give you the exact details on the costings that there would be. Is there any risk to applying for CM at the same time as MEI? Can we still pass MEI if we fail CN, Chartered Environmentalist? That is a good question. I'm not sure. I will have to come back to you on that one. I don't know. It's the honest answer. Yeah, I'll have to come back to you on that one. It's not something I've heard of, but I will check. To check, I can get an external sponsor outside work with a CEng to support my application as I don't have one in my. Yes, that's correct. Um, if you don't have one in your workplace, you can use an external a sponsor from outside your workplace. Yeah. Hi, James. I'll thank you for your question. I'll have to come back to you on that one. I'm not entirely sure. I'll double check and then I'll come back to you. What advice would you recommend to complete a successful application throughout the whole process? Um, I mean, it's the guidance notes really is the sort of that's the number one sort of should be where you go. That will give you the sort of that should give you everything you need. But if you are stuck on a section of the application process, lean on your sponsors. They've done this process themselves, so they'll be able to provide you with sort of much more relevant guidance than I can. because they will have that application themselves. They'll have done the application themselves, and they'll be in a similar energy role to yourself, hopefully. So they'll be able to give you that support. I am an AMEI. Do I have to upgrade to MEI first before applying to CEng, or can I go for CEng only? No. So to be a CEng, you do have to have MEI, but you can do the application process at the same time. Hopefully, but yes, you can't hold your CEng with an AMEI. You have to be an MEI. Right. I think that's the end of the questions. James, I'm going to come back to you by email on your question. And I think there was someone else. I'll check back in the chat afterwards. But if there's no more quick questions now, I'll draw the meeting to a close. Thank you everyone who was able to attend today. Like I said, I'll be recording this this meeting's being recorded. So I will distribute out to I will distribute out on YouTube and via the website to everyone. So if any of your colleagues weren't able to attend, please do pass it on, and I'll be sending out the slide pack this afternoon. But yeah, thank you everyone for attending. Hope you all have great days, and hopefully we'll see you all applying to be chartered in some form or another in the coming weeks and years. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Good delivery. I will be in touch, and it's a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you.